Hello, everybody. Okay, can you hear me well? All right. It's great to be here. Like everybody else that have spoken, I am also a graduate of FUT Mina. Actually, my registration number 901464. So I am showing my age, but it's really an honor to be here. Before you say, you mean she wasted our time by studying architecture and then ending up as screenwriter. Why? You took somebody else's place. No, that is not it. And nothing that I was taught was wasted. Once upon a time, I entered a production office, and with full chest, I said, I am a screenwriter. And the person was like, so what? I learned a lesson then, and that was that you can't expect anyone to be as excited about your dream than you are. You can't expect anybody to fight for your dream like you. It's your life, it's your dream, your ambition, your goal. And I read somewhere that the proof of desiring something is pursuing it. If you want something so bad you desire it, how do we know? Not by saying, oh, I wish I could be this. You pursue it. We have to see action. We have to see action in your words, action in what you do. What steps are you taking? What action steps are you taking to get that thing you want? Anyway, so from architecture to screenwriting, this is the story, my journey that I'm going to tell you. As I started from this same university, Boso campus, not this campus, so everything seems very new to me. So, how did I choose architecture? My siblings were architect, engineer, doctor. My father was the first quantity surveyor in the north. So definitely I came from a very sciencey background kind of family. How dare I tell my father that I want to do arts? Arts is for unserious people. That was the mindset back then. And I'm sure that some people still have that mindset, but it's changing. Because the thing is, when something blossoms and makes something beautiful, and people see the benefit of it, people see what comes out of it, then appreciation comes. And also, knowledge is more now than it used to be back then. So I entered the school, Environmental School of Science and Technology, Department of Architecture. And I was the girl carrying TD square. So don't think that, oh, I already had a flair for entertainment or filmmaking. I did not. However, one day I discovered a book. They sent me to do assignment for building structures. Instead, I discovered a book. And the book was called The Elements of Screenwriting. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. I've always been interested in filmmaking. Acting, watching movies, all those things, they fascinated me. It was a world I was like, wow, what's going on there? How does it work? But I never knew how to access that, only from the outside. Now, this was a time before mobile phones, before internet, before Google search. I'm showing my age again. Anyway, but I found this book and it was called The Elements of Screenwriting. My brain exploded when I read it because it was talking about stories. It never occurred to me that people write those stories. I thought actors just appear magically on screen and start saying those words as if it was coming out from their mouths. I didn't know somebody wrote it. The plot, somebody wrote it. How the beginning, the middle, the end of the story, it's already been pre-written by somebody called a script writer. And just like architecture, the screenwriting play is a blueprint for a movie. Just like an architectural building needs drawings. When we see the drawings, we see the building. The whole idea of the blueprint is to capture the imagination of the building. The same thing when you write a screenplay. It's supposed to capture the imagination. We should already see the play in our heads. It should excite us. Actually, excite the producer. Because the truth is, you can't enter a library and see my screenplay. My screenplay, it ends up being on the screen. It's a collaborative effort to break it on the screen, but it starts with the screenplay. I always loved watching good stories, good movies. And I always wonder when a movie did not turn out right. Why? Why did they mess up here? What was wrong with it? And I was like, if I'm going to write a story, my story is going to be good and sound. Just like a building needs to be good and sound. I found out that a screenplay requires structure, just like a building requires structure. And if the structure is faulty, the story is going to be faulty, just like a movie. Anyway, so I decided that I am going to be a screenwriter. No, that didn't happen. I finished my first degree, my master's degree in FUT Minna. And then something happened. This is what in physics, when a stationary object goes into motion because of the application of an external force. The external force was my mom died. And that made me reevaluate my life choices. So I thought, okay, if I'm suddenly no more on earth, would I be happy dying with a T square in my hand? Or doing something that I really, really have passion and interest for? But passion is not enough, because what did I know about media, about screenwriting apart from that book? Absolutely nothing. So during my NYSC, I decided I would go to Lagos. Yes, that was when they had those buses, not this modern public transport they have now. You see everybody scrambling to enter. Why Lagos? Because then, for me, that was born in Kaduna, schooled in Kaduna, and then FUT Minna, I knew that if you want something crazy, you have to go to a crazy place that it happens. And in my head, as I said, there was no Google search, there was no internet, there was no mobile phone. I thought Lagos is the place. And did I like Lagos as a person? No. Because Lagos was a crazy place, and we Northerners we have a calm temperament. Those of us that were raised in the North. But I knew that I had to step out of my comfort zone and enter a place and look for what I want. Luckily, I was also doing my NYSC there. So I knew I had 1 year to find what I really wanted to do. Because my parents, well, my father, because he was the only one left, obviously wanted me to use what I learned and what he spent his money on, to build a career that was worthy. So I had 1 year. So what did I decide to do? I had to look for my tribe. If I wanted to be into media, I had to look for my media tribe. All this while I've been surrounded by environmental sciences, the technical colleges, the all agriculture, all the departments in FUT Minna. No offense, I love you all, but you were not my tribe, the new tribe I was seeking for. So I went to Lagos. I started looking for my tribe. And where did I first go? Where would a tribe go? National Theatre. I was just using my brain, okay. The National Theatre that is now being called, I heard that they want to rename it. Yes, it has been renamed, I believe. After Nobel laureate Wole Soyinka, at least I read that. I don't know whether that's been confirmed. Yes, so I went there and I saw a banner. They're doing a course on media, film, directing, acting. I said yes. So I put all my money down, train me. And the course was supposed to be for a month. And for the first week, I found myself in a class among my tribe. Many of them became my friends. Later down in my career, they became writers, directors, producers. But back then, we were just all young people doing this course. And, and I was excited. And then I started noticing that with every class, the class started getting smaller. And then I realized that apparently I was the only one that paid for the course. After putting all my money down, of course, JJC, I put everything, I paid for the full tuition. Apparently, the teacher decided to call his friends so that I would not realize I was the only one in the class. So that I would feel, okay, this is a happening training school. And I didn't even tell you that before entering National Theatre, I almost got run over by a Molue on an Okada. Anyway, that's part of my journey. So I left, and then I needed to get a job. So I got a job working in an event center. A friend of mine also had mercy on me. He said, okay, they are auditioning for radio. Do you want to be in radio? I'm looking for a job, anything. Besides, radio is part of the entertainment world. I entered. I trust you. If you had a camera back then, if I see a man with a video camera, I'm following him. He's part of my tribe. What production office do you work for? Who are you? Yeah, I'm interested in, I don't know how to handle a camera, but you know, I just needed anything, any sign that pointed me in the direction I was pursuing. I wanted to show that, yes, I am serious in this thing. So I auditioned. I sent an audition tape to the radio station, and guess what happened? Nothing. So I decided to enroll for another course. This time I did not pay full tuition. I paid half tuition because I was like, this is not going to happen twice. I'm not going to waste my money like this. I sat in that class. I was a very unserious student. Why? Because they had started ahead of me. So the teacher was even trying to come back to, you know, for the benefits of the new student, and all the others were looking at me like, why are we going back just because of her? I didn't finish that course because the radio station called and they said they wanted me and they were ready to pay. So of course, so that at least I can say I have a job. And what was a radio station? Panic in my house. What is she doing? What about her degree? Why is she a radio station? Young lady, you must find yourself, but don't take forever finding yourself. But when you say that, okay, at least this is my monthly check, you know, it simmers down the parental mind a bit that, okay, maybe, okay, we'll be watching her. So that is how I ended up in 96.9 Cool FM, a radio station in Lagos. And I was so shy that I did not use my full name. I said Kenny. So there was a Kenny, but nobody knew my last name. That way I was able to still hide my identity. I worked there for 5 years. I did copywriting, which is writing short advertisements. I did voiceovers. I hosted shows on air. They called them OAPs then. Then they didn't call us OAPs. I think DJs, or I think they did call us OAPs, but it wasn't as vibrant as it is. We didn't have as many radio stations. So I'll be like, oh, good morning. Because they liked accent back then. They'll say, this is 96.9 Cool FM. You're welcome to the morning show. You know? And if they want us to do Valentine, oh, this is a wonderful season of Valentine. Hold the hands of somebody you love and hug them. And say, meanwhile, I may be looking like, oh, what's going on here? Now, the truth is, I enjoyed the radio. I got experience from it. But I knew that was not where I was going to end up. I knew this was not it for me. But I didn't know the next step. Now, that school that I started, the second school, because I got the job in radio, I had to tell the guy, I'm sorry, I can't continue. I had attended 3 classes, unpaid. And the guy said, okay, no problem. But hey, DSTV, they are doing a competition, screenwriting. They are opening applications. Anybody wants to write a story for a competition, write and send. I said, okay. So I wrote, based on that information that I got from that book in the Boso School Library that had no business being there. This is a science university. Later I found out that that book was probably donated under screenwriting. The information from that book made me write my first short film. And I sent it. And they called me back. They said I should come and be selected. Out of hundreds of applicants, suddenly my dreams were coming through. Suddenly the door has been opened. Not only have I found my tribe, I found a big tribe. DSTV, wow. Their content broadcast to over 50 African countries. This is a dream come true. And truly, they gathered us. There were 3 finalists, me and 2 other gentlemen. And we sat down, and I heard their stories, and I was like, oh, I know my story rocks. No, this isn't bad. If I could chop knuckle myself, I would. And then they named the winner. And it was not me. And my life came crashing down. I had thought this was the validation that yes, the world is going to finally recognize my genius. They did not take me. So of course, I was like, what's going on? What's going on? Maybe you're just wasting your time. You're chasing dreams. You're chasing fantasies. You're wasting your life, your father's money, all the years in university, and your play, they could not even say that yours was the best. So that door that I felt was going to open was suddenly shut in my face. So I was back to radio. This is 96.9 FM. And if you ask me, so Kemi, what's next? Don't even ask me that question. I didn't know. I was driving blind. All I know is I'm here. At least I'm earning a steady paycheck. Let's see where this goes. Then my pastor came a year later. He said, hey, you entered a competition, yeah? I said, yeah. That was like 1.5 years ago. I said, yeah. He said, try it again. I said, really? I didn't even know that they were having a second competition. So I went to the SC office, and truly they were having a second competition. And this time, I wrote the script, I sent it, and guess what? I won. Finally, I was in. Not only was my short film taking me abroad, but it brought me back. They made it into a short film. They took me to Tanzania, and that way my career just sped up. From then, the STV started calling me. They even entered another competition, of which I also entered. The third time I won. So by the time I won the second time, the first time I lost, they were like, okay, there's something about this girl. They started coming up with, okay, let's start production. So that's how they started calling me. I did their first medical TV series, Doctor's Quarters at the time. I was called for that. I was a foundation member of Tinsel. They had to take me to South Africa for training. Edge of Paradise, maybe some of you may not know it, but maybe you have sisters or aunties or cousins that know it. And I also ended up writing features like Figurine, The Phone Swap, Battleground. I mean, I was with them for quite a while. And somebody will say, but did you waste in architecture? No, because I found out that the brain that I use for me to design a building is the same that I use to write a script. Every building is either a form of function or form, the shape of a building. If I'm to write a story, if it's a comedy, it must make you laugh, a thriller, it must thrill you, action, it must have action pieces, just like a building. The purpose for which a building is established should reflect in why that building stands, just like a story. So when people come to me, read my script, I say, is this a comedy? They say, yes. I say, why am I crying? There's something wrong. Is this a drama, a horror drama? Yes. Why am I laughing? There's something wrong. There's something wrong with the structure. You have to fix the structure. Something is not mathing. Anyway, so one more thing about storytelling. Just like the journey of your life or your lives. No story is sweet without an obstacle. No story is sweet without an obstacle. As hard as we would love everything to be so easy, or as bad as we want it to be so easy, the truth is those stories that show how difficult it is to get what we want makes it sweeter when we get it, isn't it? Koba Hakaba. Koba Hakaba, yeah. So, I don't know whether I would have achieved this with architecture, got myself in newspapers. People said, this girl, she writes good stories. And I still continue to do that. The journey is not over. It continues. You decide where it ends, where it starts, where it begins, where it ends. Mine hasn't ended. And that's my story. What is yours?